Hey, it's the Pirate Broadcast, and today we have another amazing episode from a dear friend of mine that I haven't seen in a while. I haven't seen you in a minute. Sharon is a master communicator. She's a writer, a blogger, a ghostwriter. She's produced millions of words across her duration of excellence. And I just wanted to share her with you in order to achieve our results of sharing wonderful people and talent on LinkedIn. Good morning, Sharon. How are you today?
I am doing superbly.
It's a great day, and I just wanted to say hello and catch up with you and make sure that we understand what is going on in Sharon's world. So talk
Well,
to us and what's happening right now in the day of Sharon.
well, today I have a show to do immediately following this show.
Oh,
I
fantastic.
yeah, I have a show. I do a show called Luminance, putting the light on you, spotlighting people who are doing good in the earth. That's all the qualifier is. You just need to do something good to combat some of the bad that's happening in the earth. So I've had that adventure, and then also as a master communicator, I'm helping people do books.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, matter of fact, this morning I was up like 5:30, writing back copy for somebody's book and making sure I generate the barcode. So your girl is having a lot of fun working with people and doing books. And then on Saturday, I delivered my first hardback cookbook to my client, and he literally was weeping. Me too,
Oh, that's
because
wonderful.
it is beautiful. It's a Mexican cookbook with all of the beautiful bold design. Oh, Russ, I've been having fun with these authors.
That is fantastic. One of the things that I remember most is the fact that you're so prolific as well. And when we were doing, I think it was back when we were even doing Main Street Chamber,
Yes,
way
yes.
back in the day,
A
and
long time ago.
yeah, a long time ago, and networking in Houston and doing some amazing stuff. And I was always amazed at how quickly and how effectively you could write, and how in much impact it had on the world and at that point in time. And also the ghostwriting was always fascinating to me with the ghostwriting and the ability to, take somebody's story and bring it down and make it their story, and how you could just absorb that information. So, are you still ghostwriting?
Actually, it's funny that you would ask me that while I was waiting for us to come on live.
Uh
I'm
huh.
sitting here editing the last chapter in a book that I've ghostwritten for one of my clients. So, yes, I am looking for ghostwriting clients because I love to do it. I love to tell your story, and I try to stay as authentic to your voice as possible.
Yeah. Well, and the thing about it is the thing that I love about LinkedIn and the whole online community is it's so easy to meet some new people all over the world. And I met people all over the world. I've met them in person. I've built relationships with them. I've really had some great, amazing friendships as a result of being on LinkedIn, especially. And the thing that always amazes me is it comes down to the story. It comes down to the way you tell your story and the words you use. And it's so important to understand, if I can use a few magic words and be a master communicator, it seems like that connection happens even quicker. So, you know, and that's some of the magic that you bring to the table. So if people are looking forward to connecting with you, it's amazing to see what you can do.
Well, one of the beautiful things about being on LinkedIn is I love the broad spectrum of voices, the diversity of voices. There's not just one unified voice, there's a diversity of
Right.
voices, and those voices bring a specific flavor to the pot. It
Yeah.
makes life interesting when you tell your authentic story. And who doesn't like to read a book that tells an authentic story that moves you to tears, that causes you to roll all over the floor in laughter.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that emotional trigger is not always easy to be able to produce in a written format. There's the way that you use the words, there's the way that you bring the tense and in the develop the story up to a crescendo of sorts, and it's that element that I've always been amazed about with some of the talents that you bring to the table. So I just wanted to connect with you and thank you for joining me on the Pirate Broadcast. I know that there's a lot of talented people that I've had on the show, and I'm going to continue to create the show. And I just applaud the people that are taking the effort and the time and the energy to produce results online and in person. So what's the next adventure for Sharon today
Well,
after your other show?
I'm actually going to West Virginia, and I'm going to be speaking at a resort in West Virginia, Alpine Resort, about how to write a book. And a lot of people, because of the self-publishing industry, are walking away from the fear factor and embracing the possibility of becoming a published author. And
Yeah,
I think that that's wonderful because the way we better or communicate one between another is through our stories. That's what the griots and that's what the oracles knew a long time ago in ancient days. And
yeah,
that's the beauty of the world. When I know your story, Russ, I'm better able to relate to you.
yeah, yeah. And
And
I'm
I
just
hear you better. I hear you better when I know your story.
well, and I think that's part of the relation process is understanding the nuance of what you're doing, what your goals are, what your ideas are, and where you're coming from, and that's where the diversity comes in too. Because, and I wanted to give a shout out to Michael Evans, Leslie. Thank you for joining into the show today live. And if you're listening to this on the replay, if you have questions for Sharon or you have questions for myself, please drop them in the comments because I'd love to answer your questions. I'd love to pass those along to Sharon as well, and connect you online and in LinkedIn. And Sharon, uh, Michael Evans says, I want to beat Brian Schuleman to the comment section. That's an inside joke, but I just really appreciate the fact that you can bring these stories to light. And Houston, the thing I love about Houston also is the diversity in this city, because I mean there's
Yes.
so many amazing people here, and I'm in Houston today, and I'm here visiting, and I just wanted to connect and make sure that I had an update from you, and so thank you for being here. So so let me ask you a question. What's the process? Walk us through the process of how you write a book for someone. I mean,
Well,
somebody has
first,
an idea and they say, "Hey, I don't know how to write this book." So walk us through the process, Sharon.
the beauty of writing a book for someone else is you start them in this process, this intellectual, heartfelt process about what story they want their readers to relate to. So I have my clients do a mission and a vision for their book. I have them immediately connect with their readers. What message is it that you want your readers to walk away with from reading your book? And once they have that mission and that vision, that sets the parameters for them to generate a viable, a living document that can change lives, that can renew minds, and empower people to do some of the things that they don't think they can do. So if you're writing a self-help book, a motivational book, a how-to book, you need to figure out what is it that you want your readers to walk away with.
Yeah. So I would imagine that it's not always easy to draw the the details. So I know you have a technique, I'm sure, that you can use to draw the details out and tickle that interesting part of the story out of them. So is that an interview process that you go through, or is it Q&A, or is it how, asking good questions is part of the process, and I know that
Well,
that's part of your process as well.
actually, I do an interview process, but I also sometimes do personality testing because sometimes the thing that we need to pull out of ourselves is being masked because we get caught up in the cookie cutter approach to life. Maybe you were in corporate, you were a corporate employee, and you assumed a certain demeanor in order to thrive in that environment. When you write an authentic story, sometimes you have to kind of like pull out the jumper cables and kind of I have to
Don't tase
pull
me!
out
Don't tase me!
I have to pull out the jumper cables and shock you into the reality of your authenticity. And the girl used to be an army vet, so I mean, I'm not running away from the problem. I'm running to the problem. And
Yeah,
so I do it in love and I do it with care and I do it, you're alive. They don't have to, call a cold blue on you when it's finished, but we
yeah,
get her done.
yeah. Well, I just know that some people are very guarded about the details, and they don't want to go through the process as much as they want the results.
Hmm.
And so it's oftentimes where you have to think about, what can I do to achieve the results with, and it's so there's I just know that, having gone through the process on occasion, it's, telling your story, some people are like humble, or they're like reserved, or they're not fully animated as they need to be. And so one of the things that I think you've done, and we've talked about in the past, is how to get that information out of them, how to pull it out of them. And it's you wordsmith, and you craft that message and everything else. So is there an approval process? Do they have to say, this is right, this is not quite right, or how does that work for them as far as getting the final draft completed?
Well, in the beginning, we form a partnership. And I always let them know that they have the ultimate say so on the final product. I am a partner in their journey, but they are ultimately responsible 100% for the end product. And so when we work with that understanding, they know that I'm coming alongside them to support them. Yes, even in the ghostwriting process, even if they just share an idea with me, they are the content expert. And when I lend validity to their input, to who they are in the process, I usually don't have a problem with the final product because I'm always asking questions. I'm always being inquisitive, and sometimes it takes sharing other stories with a new storyteller to get them to see the vision.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, So, so what about your story, Sharon? So, so tell us how you got to the point where you were doing this type of work, and why words? What is it about words that drew you into this journey for Sharon? What was it about this that intrigued Sharon?
Well, I've always known, even as a young child, that words have power. Unfortunately, I had quite a few bully experiences when I was a kid, and I remember the pain, but I also remember picking up a good book as a child and being able to be transported into a different place outside of that environment where I was being bullied. And so I learned to treasure that transition. And then authors really became my superheroes. I
Uh,
began to see them as royalty. So as a child, I wanted to emulate successful authors because of what they did for me. They were my security, they were my protection, they were everything that I needed to survive those early years as a child. And so it
Mm.
just came to fruition as an adult. It was a natural thing for me to be a champion, to be a cheerleader, to be a lover of words, but even more so the people who wrote those words.
It's interesting that you would say that because I think a lot of people growing up have an opportunity to imagine something greater than they're experiencing. And when you can actually go into the imagination, that gives us so much opportunity to see a different outcome than what we're living, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. Because can you imagine a child in an impoverished country and all they know is struggle, all they know is survival. But let's say they have access once a week to a television program, maybe an old western, and they
Yeah.
see Don Wayne on the horse all the time. He's wearing this white hat and he's conquering stuff and he's being the hero. When they decide that they want more than what they see around them, that is the vehicle that takes them from that place into their future, the possibility, the abundant thinking,
Uh,
the possibility of the impossible. So that's why I love books and that's why I love words.
yeah. The book is the space between life and dreams, right?
Yes, yes. Ooh, that's a quotable.
That's a tweetable.
Yes, it is.
So the imagination, let's talk about the imagination a little bit because there's a lot of people that have an imagination. However, they haven't taken the time and the effort to really articulate that. Some people take, some people use video, some people use audio. Podcasting is getting really huge. And, words are the original storytelling device, after the paint on the caves, a story has been part of our lives. It's part of our existence. It's part of who we are. And so like the hero's journey, when we're talking about that and when we're talking about the journey and like what you've gone through, your childhood and developing your imagination and developing your skills as a writer, and then just having a lifelong love of this process. So where do you see yourself taking this process in the next 5 years? What do you want to accomplish in this?
So let's say I'm the child with the all possibility thinking. What I see myself retiring doing is setting up an incubator for young people, high schoolers, senior high schoolers, and college students to foster that creative process, not just wordsmiths, but also not just journalists, but also couple that technology piece and have everybody in the same place generating good stuff, good content. Also, bringing in seniors like myself, baby boomers like myself, who have good business acumen and equipping them to equip small businesses and also nonprofits to have that kind of presence, that content presence that some of the big dogs have so that they can have a chance in the fight. That's
Yeah,
what I see.
I love that idea, and so planting that seed out there now is, it's out there in the universe now, so we can't take it back, right?
No, we can't.
So who's a good introduction for you, and who can we introduce you to if people that watch this broadcast or hear this broadcast, and I know that there's a couple of people that have already joined in that want to connect with you, so I look forward to having them connect with you. Maureen is in the house.
Hey.
Leslie, again, she's a wonderful contact, and Kieran. Kieran Beatty. I don't know if you know Kieran or not. She wrote a story. She writes some amazing stories. You two should absolutely connect. She's an amazing individual, and I had her on the program earlier. And so go back and introduce yourself and connect, Sharon, because I know that you guys are in alignment. And so, you know, when talking about fear and the fear of writing, and you know, this is one of the things that we brought up with Kieran is the whole concept of being able to put yourself out is kind of risky for a lot of people. So how can we feel more comfortable about telling our story? Do you have any tips for us today, Sharon?
Actually, I do. I
Fantastic.
think in a world where we have a lot of plastic stuff going on, I mean, people are crafting stories and selling you bull. Now, I won't say the other part of that word, but they're selling you bull. What a wonderful thing to bring an authentic story to the storefront. What a wonderful thing to contrast the bad news that we're hearing with good news. I mean, we all live a life, and in life we have ups and downs, but there are lessons that we've learned. So you need to think. Sometimes people need to take the focus off of themselves and put the focus on who they can help in the process. There is no other feeling that rebels or rivals with that feeling of contentment that you get when you help others. And so I'm about fostering that feeling. So I remember being a Boy Scout executive, and yes, I was a Boy Scout. So what I would do is I would jump out of trees. I would go onto the lake and fish and help the kids learn how to fish because it was for their good versus for my good. And actually, it was for my good because I got to face that fear and help somebody out at the same time. So I'm about fostering those environments where it's okay to be afraid, but let's pull you from that fear point into a place where you're comfortable and you conquered that fear point.
Well, and as we know and we've talked about before, is growth always happens outside your comfort zone, right?
Mhm.
And the more we address the fear and understand that we can go beyond it, is that's when the growth happens and that our comfort zone expands. And that's when good things start taking place. You know, just like creating a incubator for writers and aspiring writers and storytellers, and some of the things and activities that we can help promote and produce in the world. And I think that's and bringing people together. You know, like I always say, is, you know, the hashtag kindness is cool, smiles are free. I say that with authenticity, and it comes from the heart. So I love the fact that that's something that we can do and we can produce on a regular basis, because you don't know what somebody's going through. You don't know what their story is. You don't know what their journey is. So if you can offer some kindness, some generosity, some offer of help and assistance, that's that's only going to improve the world, in my opinion.
Mhm. I agree. I agree.
So, Sharon, I know you have another show to go on to, and I just want to thank you and all the gratitude in the world for doing the things you're doing, helping other people, and I really appreciate the opportunity for us to connect today, and I look forward to even more in the future. So,
Likewise, Russ. And I want to tell you, I am so proud of you and all that you do. You have stayed true to your vision, and I'm a cheerleader for you, my friend.
well, thank you so much. I appreciate you, and share this message and share the good word that we have created, and make sure that, you know, if people can introduce. I know that you've already got a couple of connection requests already as this show's progressed, and so I look forward to our opportunity to connect again and share out the show and anything that you're producing, so we can actually expand your vision and dream. And how do people get a hold of you, Sharon? Tell us how to track you down. What's the best way?
Well, they can inbox me on LinkedIn. That's a great thing. Reach out to connect to me. And they can send me an email real easy at my Gmail account, Sharon C. Jenkins at gmail.com. Don't forget the C It's my maiden name, Carter, Sharon C. Jenkins at gmail.com.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I appreciate you and thank you for being here and taking the time out of your busy schedule to meet with us and share a few tips. So,
You're welcome.
hey, kindness is cool, smiles are free, and as always, you enjoy the day. Take care.
Bye bye.